All right, hello everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Ben Jones, Technical Evangelism Director here at Tableau. And I'm excited about this session I want to do for you today, where we're going to get hands-on with some of the new features and functionality that we've added to Tableau since 10.0 in the last year or so. So at the end of the session, my goal is that you walk away with, some knowledge about how to do things. So there's going to be a demo portion of this as well, where I want you to be able to get the most out of the advancements that our development team has been adding to the software as we've been going along. I also teach class at University of Washington, data visualization theory, so there'll be a little bit of class in session. I want to teach you guys Viz and Tooltip. It's this really cool feature where you can have a pop-up within your visualization showing data and walk you through the nuts and bolts of how to do that so that you have that knowledge when you're done. More features as well that we'll talk about. I'm a map geek, so we're going to look at some cool maps. But before we dive too deep into the product itself, I want to spend a little bit of time talking about our overall approach to innovation, picking up on some of the things Francois said earlier. So you guys know our mission by now, right? It's all about helping people see and understand data, and we think that that is continuing to increase in importance. Due to the volume of data that's increasing, people are data workers that didn't consider themselves that in the past. And so we're seeing this need for data literacy where it's important for everyone within an organization to be able to speak the language of data. And Tableau's helping to do that. And these features that we've been adding really come from a point of view of empowering everyone within the organization to have that dialogue together to help grow the business based on the data that they have at their fingertips and that they would need to use to drive decisions. Okay, and it's about sort of the diversity of the data. It's in lots of different places. It's about lots of different topics and different formats. And so that's a challenge, but we're trying to make that as easy as we can. So there are more people than ever before, more opportunities to innovate. So we've been pretty busy. Let me give you a quick overview of some of what I think are the most exciting things we've been doing. So Francois mentioned 100 new features. Here's a snapshot of them. And you can see some of the ones that we consider sort of the major ones, like Linux and Hyper. 4 different versions of Tableau with over 100 new capabilities, okay? Let's just walk through them a little bit. So, Tableau 10.2, that was about a year ago. We brought spatial analytics to the masses. This is about connecting to shape files, right? So it used to be really tricky if anyone's ever worked with a shape file. It's a certain kind of mapping file if you're not knowledgeable about it, but you have to kind of convert it to a CSV through a number of steps and different programs you could download and use. And then even when you put it into Tableau, the shapefile was very slow because you had to literally draw every single vertex of a polygon or a polyline. And so that took a lot of time. And so we've been adding the ability to directly connect to shapefiles because maps are a very important part of what we do, right? Understanding where things are happening that affect our environment. So that was 10.2. Another thing in 10.2, though, that isn't often mentioned, but is a kind of a big fan of, was this auto date parse. Because date parsing, right, we often see dates in different formats. So, whether it's because you're from a different part of the world and your nomenclature is slightly different, or maybe it's the output from a certain, program or function gives you the date in a certain format versus another. I remember spending a lot of time as I have been using Tableau and even prior to that working with data, trying to reformat date fields. Maybe you've lived that life too of writing functions in Excel to try to break out the year and the month and things like that. So that can be really time consuming. So this auto date parse was a smart algorithm that would go in and it would kind of convert whatever format you had. Even you could have the single column of data with multiple different formats of dates. And the algorithm would be able to go in and convert that to an actual date. So auto date parse was pretty big for the work that I did. 10.3, so a big one there, right, is this idea that you can connect live from Tableau Online, which is our hosted server solution, to data that's behind your firewall on premise. And that could be a live connection between Tableau Online to your data. That was called Tableau Bridge. So that was a big advancement for those who are using that product of ours. A big one I'm going to walk you through actually is step by step is DataDriven Alerts. So people want to know and they want to be alerted and given a heads up when something happens, maybe a certain data point achieves a certain value or crosses a threshold that matters, and they want to be able to be notified about that without having to go and look. So they want an email inbox message that's giving them a heads up about something. So data-driven alerts were big and continue to be something that is a major feature for us, right? And PDF, I'm actually show you this. So there's so many PDF files if we go way back, right? So it would take a lot of effort to scrape those PDF files, get the data out of the PDF and into some other format that a software program could use. But our engineers went in and kind of wrote code that allows you to connect directly to a PDF. And again, if we have time, I might show you. That's the last one up if I get time for it. But it's a super quick demo to show a PDF that I downloaded from the web. And 1 click, 2 clicks, and then there you are. You're analyzing the data. So connecting to PDF. It's one of those things where if you don't have data in PDFs, obviously you don't care about that feature. But if you do have data in PDFs, you really care about that feature because it saves you a world of hurt. So that was 10.3. Also loved about 10.3 the ability to the latest dates preset. So I can filter to the most recent data and have my filter values set to showing the most recent, like say like the last 2 months or the last 3 weeks instead of a certain range. So that was a helpful one for people, especially those where the data in the dashboard is updating on a frequency that you don't want to have to go in and move the slider every time to see what happened yesterday or today. That was 10.3. Okay, move ahead again, 10.4. So 10.4, we expanded this really important feature for enterprises, which is the governance capabilities, right? So you can now certify a data source. So that's really important for large organizations with many, many people who are oftentimes not even in the same location, right? They want to be working off the same single source of truth. And now some of the administrators can go in and certify data sources so that everyone's working off of the same stuff, right? And then making collaboration easy. This is the other side of it, right? Once we get the data, analyze it, it's important for us to be able to communicate with each other within an organization. Well, now we can add commenting abilities with 10.4, and people are able to have conversations right there in Tableau instead of having to cut and paste out into Outlook or something like that. You can just log into your Tableau server and you're having a discussion right there where the data is looking right at you. So that was commenting. Also, my little favorite with 10.4. So every one of these releases, we update the map data. And if you've ever, I'm close to the map team. So I used to run Tableau Public, which is journalists use this free platform for telling data stories on the web. Maps are super important to journalists, right? Whether they're talking about voting results or crime statistics, right? Showing where things are happening is big for journalists. And the fact of the matter is, mapping data is always moving, right? Populations are changing, boundaries are changing, and things like that. So there's always the need with this mapping team to continually update. Congressional district boundaries are redrawn. So our map team is busy. Every single release, they go about updating the map data, which is awesome. But also what they did with 10.4 is it used to be with Tableau that if you had a city, the city had to have 10,000 people or more to be able to map it on Tableau. And we went ahead and just opened that up to 10 times the number of cities so that, it doesn't matter. If it's a city, a town, a small little village somewhere, we're going to be able to put on a map for you. So that was a big change there, 10 times the number of cities. And again, a total refresh to all the mapping data in 10.4. 10.5 was a big, big one for us. So that was the beginning of this year. In January, we released 10.5. Now, this was where we completely overhauled our data engine, and we put in this brand new technology called Hyper. And that's all about letting you quickly query and update and refresh and filter, massive data sets, right? So a whole different kind of technology I'll show you in a minute that helps and just makes it so that you can deal with large data sets. And putting it on Linux was big for a lot of people too. We actually put Tableau Public, as I mentioned, our free platform was running Hyper, and then that also got put onto Linux as well. So that was a good way to kind of test out some of those features for our paying customers. But Linux was a hot topic that a lot of people, high requested item, giving our customers more flexibility and where they deploy. And of course, the fan favorite, which I'll talk about here, Viz and tooltips. Okay, so that was a real popular release. A couple months ago, we just released 2018.1. Again, Francois mentioned a little bit about that, but this was big, right? So new offerings, when we talk about the different kinds of role-based offerings, and then also some new capabilities, a brand new chart type that I'll show you, step lines, jump lines. We have this like new improved hierarchy filtering that kind of automatically detects the hierarchies in your data and lets you filter based on that. And a number of other things, right? Again, this ability to save to an earlier version of the software was really important, especially when you have companies with lots of people, that some of them, they're not all in the same version. Or maybe you're using desktop version that isn't the same as the server version that a different corporate entity maybe has let you have access to. Then people were running into these challenges, like they couldn't download or they couldn't save to the server. So we have the ability to downgrade workbooks from Tableau Server and Tableau Online, so that there's less of a likelihood that someone kind of hits that brick wall and can't move forward with their analytics. Okay, so in this session, I want to focus on some of the biggest features that I just talked about. We'll do some content, we'll do some demos. Again, my goal is to really get hands-on so that you can leverage it. So this is all about a platform for us right now, so that we are investing all up and down this entire stack here, all about from everything from connecting to the data all the way up there to governing, doing the analysis itself, and collaborating. We're looking at this as an entire workflow now, and really kind of investing in every single one of those as we go along. Okay. So these are the things I'm going to demo for you. Well, Hyper will just be a video. We'll show that. But then I'm going to get hands-on. And I'm perfectly OK, by the way, going off script. So if you guys have questions or you want me to show something or I do something and you'd like me to do it again because you missed it, probably someone else in a room this big also has a similar question or missed it too. So just shout out. It's kind of hard for me to see. So just I can hear you. Just let me know, and I'll try to get to your question. OK? So feel free to take me off my script. I would be more than happy to do that for you all. So Hyper, right, is all about large files. Spatial files is all about getting you into this geographic data in context, okay? Viz and tooltip is all about engaging with the data in a deeper level and being able to drill in and see different views. And maximizing your real estate so that you don't have to shove things and move things around. You can actually pop things up on hover, okay? Jump lines and step lines is a specific kind of timeline that is really applicable to certain kinds of data sets that we're going to talk about, and not applicable to others. So it used to be really hard to make those on your own. There was a way you could kind of structure your data to make a step line, but we kind of made it super simple. So I'll show you that with a few examples. DataDriven Alerts, again, that's the one I mentioned where you can get a flag or an email anytime something happens that's important to you. This idea of like compatibility enhancements so that I can save to a different version or download a different version, upload my workbook to a server that has a different version than I'm running, that kind of a thing. Okay, so Hyper. This was, again, the kind of like the game changer for us back when we launched this version here recently, right? So, and this was 10.5 in January. Hyper lets customers analyze large and or complex data sets much faster. It doesn't have to be large. It could just be very complex, right? So it isn't just about the number of rows or records. It could just be how complex the data is. Hyper helps with both of those. It's a patent-pending data engine technology. It brings really fast extract refreshes, query performance on a whole different level for us. And so I just got back from Verizon in New Jersey a couple days ago, trillions of data records that they're looking at every single day, right? That's not abnormal anymore. That's pretty common. And so, we're really investing to make sure that that's something where you don't have that, that spinner scenario where you're sitting there waiting and watching some kind of a timeline thing, tell you when you're ready to go. We want to keep you in the flow. The whole goal there is that you can continue to interact with your data as fast as you can think about it. All right, so it's a very revolutionary technology for us. It was an acquisition from an academic environment out of Germany, and we figured out our engineers worked real quick to get it implemented. And it's leveraged by all of our products, which is great. Tableau Desktop uses it, Tableau Prep as well. If you get to go to a session after this one and get some training on Tableau Prep, it uses Hyper as well. Server on Windows and Linux. Tableau Online uses it. Tableau Public uses Hyper. Actually, Tableau Public has been using Hyper for over a year now, as we've kind of fleshed out the intricacies of that connection. It's a cool enhancement for our platform. We think it's going to be really valuable for customers as they grow and scale. Right? So it's like one thing if you're doing something with a small Excel file, okay, fine, but now you're going to ramp it up to your entire ERP system, and you're going to be dealing with massive amounts of data. How are you going to do that and keep the flow of the analysis going? Hyper is all about that. So in a little bit of context here, right, so you think about it, right, you've got your data, and you can connect to it live. There's a couple options, right? One way is to connect live. In that way, you're going directly to the database. And the other way is to create an extract, and that's where your data gets put through a format into and optimized into our Tableau data engine, and that's what Hyper is now, right? So that's our hybrid data strategy, because, you know, again, we don't force you to one way or another. We're allowing you to have the option there, whether you want to connect live or whether you want to try to optimize the performance through a data engine. And again, Hyper just replaced our previous Tableau data engine, which created TDE files. Now we create these Hyper files, and again, it's just much, much faster. So it's a core component of Tableau, fully in-memory data engine technology. So in addition to powering extracts, it also powers our federation engine. That's all about, you know, cross-database joins. And again, as I mentioned, it also powers Tableau prep. What are the benefits of it, right? So one is faster analysis with larger data sets. So you're able to get queries completed in seconds on large amounts of data. And so then the goal there, right, is it's about staying in the flow of your analysis. And then, you know, large workbooks, it's not just about the querying, they'll actually open faster. So the first time you open a file, you're going to get that kind of right into the experience much quicker. Filters, when you work with them, they're snappier. If you ever add a new field to a visualization, you know, it's going to be instantaneous. So it's 5 times faster, what we've been seeing from our customers. And then, again, designed to increase performance with computationally intensive queries too. What are those? Think about it like anytime you do a distinct count on a dimension, right? That requires a lot of computation. Hyper's great at that, and it goes much faster. And so then actually when you create the initial extract, you know, that can be a time-intensive process as well. Hyper's a lot faster at that. And so the initial extract creation and then the extract refresh performance is going to be much better with Hyper. So extract creation, refresh times, these are the things that we're seeing as the benefits. And then actually also, it used to be that there was a limit on extracts, and now, you know, there's not, it's more about what's the right decision for you, not are you forced to do one or the other based on the size of the data. So TD extracts, that was a 30 gigabyte kind of a limit, right? With Hyper, extracts can be up to 100 gigabytes, and that's pretty rare, so it's a large extract, right? So then you're going to get acceptable query performance all the way up to that 100 gigabytes on the extract itself, not the data. So I could talk a lot about it, or I can just kind of show you. So let me kind of walk you through a quick video here to see how Hyper works. So I'm going to go ahead and cue the video.
Powering the Tableau data engine, Hyper helps you analyze large or complex data sets faster. Traditional data engine approaches sacrifice write speed for fast query performance, creating a delay between you and your data. Tableau's approach is different. Hyper delivers fast write speed without sacrificing query performance by using the same column store for data ingestion and queries. With this approach, there is no post-processing, improving extract creation speed. For faster query performance, Hyper optimizes and compiles queries into custom machine code. Once a query is received, Hyper optimizes it. Hyper then uses that optimized query as a blueprint to create a machine code program to maximize the underlying hardware. Tableau designed Hyper from the ground up with large, multi-core environments in mind. Our parallelization model is based on very small units of work, which are assigned across available cores. Hyper then adjusts for changes in core speed, reassigning work to make a more efficient use of your hardware. Together, these breakthroughs mean faster extract creation and query performance, helping you analyze large or complex data sets faster, so you can make better, data-driven decisions.
Awesome. So that's Hyper, right? This is one thing we've been really excited about, and hopefully you see the benefit there. So, you know, this is a great quote, right? So this is from National Grid and Director of IT there. And he says, in our business, fast-paced questions need even faster answers. From our beta testing thus far, it's clear that on complex data sets, Hyper can take our data-driven decision-making to the next level. So what's cool about Hyper, too, you know, it's pretty seamless to you to implement it if you're upgrading from an older version of Tableau. It's pretty much, you know, an automatic kind of a thing. You know, there are, you know, people doing testing of this kind of a upgrade, and validating it. So no migration really is needed, though, which is the cool thing for IT. Customers can use, when you upgrade to Tableau 10.5, you kind of automatically get Hyper's benefits. They don't need to go and convert all the existing extracts or anything like that. What's kind of cool, what Tableau does is when you have a refresh scheduled or anytime you open it or manually update it, then it does that conversion for you. So there's no massive downtime kind of a scenario there like there would be with other kinds of engine switch outs like this. Existing extracts and workbooks, kind of just work. That's the way we designed it to be this pretty seamless transition. And even if you do go to 10.5, you can still read workbooks that are in the older TDE format prior to the Hyper implementation. So that's good. It doesn't break the connection to previous technology. And there's documentation about it all, and we even have an upgrade assistance that's complementary to anyone who wants to kind of be walked through what to do. But it's designed to be pretty simple. So that's Hyper. All right, so let me now kind of get out of PowerPoint, which I'm pretty excited about. So if we can switch on over to the demo station here. I want to show you how to do some of the big new features that have come out lately. All right, so there we go. There's Tableau. So I'm in Tableau 2018.1 right now, and I'm going to start by showing you spatial files. So I'll do a couple ones real quick here. We got a little bit of time. So one is this cable map we've got here. So I'm going to go ahead and connect to data. You'll notice now that there's a spatial file field. So I can click on Connect to Spatial File. Did everybody see that over there? Here, I'll just kind of zoom in a little bit so you can see if you're in the back. See, you go right there. This little piece right here, spatial file. There we go. That's a brand new connector. And so I can go in there, and I've got a few different ones, right? One is this cable map that shows telecommunications across the world. And you'll notice that I've got all the different shape files in there, but it's the cables.shp format that you can go ahead and connect automatically to. Again, this is the process I mentioned where you'd have to go through a lot of steps to convert it to a CSV. But now when I connect to the shape file, I get this new field over here Tableau adds called geometry. And you can notice that it's multi-line string and line string. There's also polygons where you can actually show different kinds of shapes. Maybe it's a police precinct or a school district. Something that's non-standard, like state or country would be more standard. Maybe it's your own sales territories and things like that, right? In this case, it's a string. So that was what was new with the spatial file connector this year is it isn't just a closed polygon shape that you can connect to. It's an interesting path maybe on a map. So these cables, right, they're under the ground, under the ocean, and they're lines. And so I want to be able to create a map showing those, but I don't want to have to go through a bunch of sophisticated steps to do it. So then I go to sheet 1, right, and you can see now, for those of you who haven't used Tableau before, I'm in this authoring environment here where I can create visualizations. And what's neat is geometry is right here, and creating the map is as easy as just double-clicking on it. And you can see all the cables, right? So it starts off as one big mark, right? So you can see there's one mark. See how it says down there, one mark? Right there in the bottom, there it is, one mark, okay? And it's just, there it is, right? Everything's all connected. But actually, every one of these cables, has its own name, and it's a different segment. So I can add more detail by, let's say I'll put name on color to start. So you can see all these different cables that exist in different places. Actually, there are quite a lot of them, it turns out, right? So there's Atlantis, too. I guess it goes under Atlantis. I don't know. Maybe I want to follow that along one time. There's a canal link that goes there in the north of Africa, right? So a bunch of these different cables all over the place, right? And so it's super easy for me just to go ahead and create this map right away and all of their different segments. Now, this is data, so I can interact with it, right? Maybe I want to, one other thing we added, actually, this one's going back about 1.5 years now. I'll show it anyway just for fun, but right now I'm just showing you our basic Tableau background map, right? But I can do different things, like I can change it to maybe, let's say, a dark map. So if I go into my layers, we've got 3 different built-in templates. So one is a dark map, one's a light map, and then there's a normal one where it's kind of like blue ocean, slightly blue. So those are pretty neat. Those are our 3 different styles. But we worked with Mapbox, which is a great company, and we can actually add a background map that's Mapbox. And so I can go in here, and I already did. I made a little Mapbox account. You can see there's a picture of me up there. I can log into my Mapbox account. It's a free account, and all I need to do is get my Mapbox account there and copy this little token right here. There we go. Okay, and I'm going to put this into. I can make my own if I'm really fancy. I want to do that, or I can just say we'll call this cables. And there's a bunch of preset styles, right? So I can do, hey, of course, there'll be a pirate map. Maybe I'll just do a pirate map, sure. Right? There we go, there's a pirate map. Or maybe, you know, hey, I don't know, this would be kind of neat to show on a satellite. So let's do that satellite map. Okay, cool. There we go. So I'll just have the satellite map showing here while I got these cables going. So I thought that was pretty cool. You know, you can do a lot of different styles now with Mapbox. Thanks to Mapbox, again, I can do my own, or I can have a bunch of pre-built ones that maybe are more interesting and more applicable to the audience that I'm communicating to, right? That would, I guess, be where it'd be more interesting. But since these are data fields, not just lines drawn on like a layer, they're actually interactive, so I can get the hover over, or I can actually even use my other fields. So for example, maybe the capacity, like how much data can be transferred on these cables, I can put that onto size, so I can do that. So you can see I have some up here with large capacity and others with much smaller. My favorite Atlantis one down there is really small capacity, others that are large. And instead of coloring them, you know, by the different map colors, because there's so many of them, that's actually not really best practice, is it, to use that many colors on a map? Maybe I can actually color them by distance so that the longer ones are darker. So I'll drop that there instead. And then I'll turn this into a dimension here so I can kind of see, you know, some of the shorter ones and the longer ones. So again, this is an interactive map. And I've got the Mapbox background, I've got the lines built in, and that was super quick and easy to do. That would have taken me a lot of time, even just a couple of years ago, to get this amount of visual information out of a shape file. One other thing I'll just show, just for fun, this has been around for a long time, but see how this URL is like a website for each one of these little cables, I guess? I'm going to go ahead and put that on tooltip. So if you hover over it, you can see that there's, like, for example, this Russian cable right here called polarnetproject.ru. And what's super cool about that, many people don't know about this feature, but if I put this sheet onto a dashboard, there we go, I can actually make an action here, okay? And I'm going to add a URL action. And every time you click on a mark, I'm going to have it open up that URL. There we go. So I'll say OK, OK. And so now if I want to know about this project, I can click on that. And it just launches the website right here, which you can read all about it. Clearly, you can see a lot of things about this and learn a lot about it like I can, right, other than the fact that it's called polarnetproject.ru. I don't know, maybe if you read Russian, you're good to go. But that's kind of a neat feature, right, that a lot of people don't know about. You can connect your data marks to websites where there's more information so people can go in further. So that's spatial files. I'm a big map fan. Any questions about spatial files before I move on? Oh, yeah, the underlying map data right here, like the satellite map. This is actually pulling straight off of Mapbox, but our own map team updates our map data as well, like boundaries and names, things like that. So, yeah, oh, well, I think it's OpenStreetMaps. Yeah. Okay, let's move along here. Thanks for that question. Next, Vision Tooltip. Okay, so this was a cool one. I'm going to close this out here just so that we don't need to. Yeah, question. Yeah, spatial joins are coming up. So, yeah, that's a new feature in 2018.2. So a spatial join is just the ability to take a spatial file like I've got right there and do a join on that. So in other words, I can join two different data sources where the only thing they have in common is the geometry. So that's a new feature we're working on, you know, where I don't have to like have some other data field that I use to connect them. They're connecting based on the fact that they're both talking about they both involve the same place on the Earth's surface, I guess. So it's a certain kind of a join we're going on right now. Okay, I'm gonna go off script. Actually, that one too is my own version. I love doing these. So I got a chance to present last week to NOAA. So they're here in Seattle. The fisheries division's here in Seattle. I love them because, you know, I wrote a book about Tableau a couple of years ago, and I used the hurricane data from the division out there, the hurricane data set. It's really cool data showing the path of the hurricanes and such. But I got to work with the fisheries team here. You know, they're more concerned with the oceans and fish in the ocean and such. Okay, so they have a cool data set. It's called RACE. This group that has gone way back now. RACE, they're the Resource Assessment and Conservancy Engineering team. Okay, so they go to the eastern Bering Sea, like off the south coast of Alaska, and going back to like the 1980s, even 1977, they're going around, they have these vessels going around taking data, like the temperature in the ocean in these different places. Okay, so I thought that this was a good example to show Vision Tooltip because it lets me show both the where and the when in the same kind of place. So let's do that. So that data, if if I'm not mistaken, is Excel, right? Let's see. So it's Excel. Let's go to the desktop here. And we are looking at, nope, it's a CSV. So that's a text file. Sometimes I get that confused because on my machine, Excel is what defaults to open a CSV, but that's a text file. So here it is right here, Therm 2006. So it's kind of old data, but they want to say, hey, Ben, what can you do with this data? So this is what it is right here. So these vessels, they've been going around off the eastern Bering Sea there off the coast of Alaska, taking temperature measurements, and they want to know what's happening to the temperature there. So let's go ahead and sheet 1. This isn't a spatial file, but it does have latitude, longitude. Notice that it's a funny name, start latty and start long. So Tableau did not by default recognize it as a geographic field, but that's okay. I can give it a geographic role. So I'm going to call this one latitude. There we go. Longitude. I'm going to give it a geographic role. Longitude. There we go. And when I double click on these guys, I get a dot right here. It's a single dot, which is the average coordinates of all their vessel temperature measurements over the course of the last few decades right there. But I want more information than that, right? I would like to see a dot for every single, I think they have it here called, let's see, it's called station ID. There it is. You see that station ID? So I can put that on detail, and I can see all these different readings we're doing. Again, this is the bottom. I'll zoom out here. You can see where we're at here, right? There's Alaska. There's where all these readings are being taken over the years. Right? So I'll unpin it so I can just center it again right there. Okay, so neat. So then what I can do is I can say, well, actually, I have a time here. So I'm going to go ahead and filter and just show 1 year at a time, right? And I'll just show the most recent year. It's going back a little ways, but, and I'll make a filter there so I can see it. When I filter through, I almost always do sliders when I'm working with data like this, so I can kind of go back and see, some years they missed some stations, but for now it's just showing where the readings were taken. What I'm really interested in is the bottom temperature, so I'll put bottom temperature on color. Okay, there we go. So I can see, oh, it looks like it's hotter here, right? It looks like it's, but actually no, what's happening, that's like lower temperatures. I need to reverse that color palette. So when you look at a blue and orange palette, right, orange usually generally kind of means hot to most people, and blue is generally interpreted as cold. But you can see from my legend that it's actually the other way around. So what I want to do is edit that color legend and reverse it, okay? So for now, just to kind of make it pop a little more, I'll use the full color range. But the cold ones should be blue, the hotter ones should be orange. There we go. So they have this thing, they call it this tongue comes down here. It's this colder like kind of currents that go. And they're really watching these closely because they think it's linked to some other phenomena going on in the Arctic Circle. And they're watching it real closely to see what happens with these temperatures, okay? But what I would love to be able to do is what I hover over right now, I just get information about that coordinate, right? But I want to see a timeline. I want to be able to see. So I see the where, but I'd love to be able to hover over a station ID and see the full timeline. Okay, so let's start by building a timeline. I'm going to call this sheet map for now. That's because it's a map. And then I'm going to add another sheet. Here we go. And I'm going to make a timeline. So I'll put my time out there on columns. All right, there we go. And I'm going to go ahead and put that bottom temperature again. This is like a column of temperature. Then I'm going to put the temperatures right there. There we go. Okay, I get this average timeline. But I want one for every single station. There we go. So this is getting to be, don't worry, it looks a little crazy right now, right? And I want to, again, same thing. I want to flip this color one around. There we go. Okay, there we go. So I've got all my stations and how the temperatures have changed over time. So it's kind of a lot, but what's really neat is now I've got a visualization. I can actually bring it in to this map as a tooltip. So I got my little tooltip control right here. See that? And usually tooltip is just, information here. I can edit it. It's a rich text editor, so I can do what I want. But I'm going to go ahead and delete it all out for now and go to Insert, okay? And I'm going to put that timeline in there. See how it says Sheets now? That's what's new. This little connector right here, Sheets. Oh, cool. I'll actually put the timeline right in there. And you can see in this code right here, it's pulling the sheet called Timeline. It's giving me my size. And right now, I'll look at this in a minute, but it's filtering on all fields. I'll say OK. So now when I hover, I can see every single one of these, right? And this is kind of where I was like, oh, cool. You can see the where and the when, two really important questions side by side. I can see what's happening, but I can also go ahead and see the full time scale there as a highlight. So Viz and Tooltips, this is kind of a brand new cool feature for us. I was playing around with it, just kind of hovering around. Oh, I want to see a trend line on here too. So I can do that, but I can't edit the tooltip. I just go back to my timeline, right? And I go to the analytics tab up here. I've been working with the data tab this whole time, right? But I want to go to my analytics tab and just add a little trend line. Here it is, trend line. I'll put a linear line on there. There we go. And now when I hover over, I can kind of see a trend line for every single one of these stations. I found it interesting that as we were talking with the NOAA team that it looks like they're all going up here, right? See all the trend lines are kind of going up? Then there's this one little station right here. Where is it? There it is. It's like, hey, what's going on? That one's going down. Right there on the coast, it seems like it's going the other way around. So that was an interesting point there. But that's Viz and Tooltip. I love this feature. It's really neat. I can see a lot of uses for it. Questions about this feature? This came through, step lines and jump lines came through 2018.1. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we can do nonlinear trend lines. Yes, yes. It doesn't have to be straight. It could be exponential. It could be power law. We just added power law. That was a brand new one, I think, in one of the 10.2 or 3 or 4, I think. Yeah.
Here, wait. Here's the mic.
Oh, thanks for the mic.
Thank you.
Yeah, perfect.
I don't want to sound like a total Tableau idiot, but if instead of adding the station ID to the details, you had instead disaggregated the latitude and longitude, would it come up with a similar result, or what would it wind up looking like?
Yeah, no, great.
However,
great.
I imagine it wouldn't be able to sort based on station ID in that instance for the Viz and tooltips.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. So I can put latitude and longitude, for those of you who are not really sure about what he means. So, right, it's averaging all the coordinates here, right? So the way that I got it to give me a dot for every station was I added the station ID to detail. That was my way of telling Tableau, I don't want one dot for all the data. I want a dot for every station. Fine, I can do that. The other way I can do it is I can change from average. See how it says AVG right here? So instead of saying, show me the average coordinate, I can just tell Tableau, actually, I want this to be a dimension, not aggregated like a measure. So I can do that. That's another way to do it, right? The other way would be to leave it as average, but then go up here to analysis and uncheck aggregate measures right here. If I uncheck that, now it's saying, I don't want to, and you can see, look, it's actually kind of interesting. They don't actually get the exact same latitude, longitude for every single reading. But anyway, that's a good case where I can disaggregate. Yeah, good question there. Okay, let me move on to step lines and jump lines. That was one I talked about. Now, what would I need that for? So let me show you a couple things, first of all, to kind of set the stage here. So if I'm talking about unemployment, right, this is a common topic, right? So there's something called Jobs Friday. I learned about this by working with journalists for the last whole while where, the BLS, the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, releases the unemployment figure every Friday, one Friday of every month. And at that point in time, like it's a big news, everybody talks about the unemployment on that Jobs Friday, they call it, right? Now, the fact of the matter is, unemployment is actually fluctuating between Jobs Fridays, right, from one month to the next. So in that case, what we can do is just draw a slanted line between two of the Fridays. That's fine, right? Because, it may not be a perfectly straight line in unemployment between one value and the next. It probably does something else and some function in there. But, again, we can approximate it by a straight line. Other times, though, like let's say, for example, postage rates, right? So think about stamps. So we can look at stamps. I love this data set. It's going back to like the 1800s. I can zoom out all the way to, 1863? How many data sets can you find going back to 1863? Now, that's a little different, isn't it? Because the price of a postage stamp, I don't know if people still use that. Probably my kids don't know what that is. But it doesn't ramp up from one value to the next, right? Like we pay maybe 35 cents for a stamp for one day, the next day, the next day. All of a sudden we wake up and then like that value jumped, didn't it? So let's take a look right here, right? It went from, for example, on April 3rd, 1988. That was a good year. It was 25 cents. And then you look at, February 3rd, 1991. It jumped from 25 cents to 29 cents. It was never 26, 27, 28. It was never those values. So for me to draw a slanting line between them, right, wouldn't really make sense because it didn't ever do that. So a step line, you get the point, right? There's lots of cases like this. Another one I did, which I really was kind of excited about here, was this Sir Roger Bannister. Anybody know that name? if those of runners out there, yeah, we got a couple. So this is the person who broke the 4-minute mile barrier. And so, we can track the record time for men racing the mile, right? At one point in time, it crossed over this 4-minute one, right? So prior to that, it had been almost a whole decade where it was stuck at 4 minutes and 1.4 seconds. And then all of a sudden, Roger Bannister ran it in 3:59.4. Okay, so this is, again, a good case for a step line. Records changing, values changing. Another one here would be, like, for example, like the common one would be interest rates or prime loan rates, right? These are all step functions. Okay, you guys get it. So let's make one. So what I want to do is open up real quick here. Now, one that's actually from a popular movie called Ready Player One. Anybody watch Ready Player One? I read that book. I liked it. Step lines, here we go. Let's make sure we open it with the right version here, not the beta, not Tableau public. Yeah, that's the default right there. There we go. Okay, so we can look at the rankings for Ready Player One on the book, not the movie ranking, but the book ranking. Okay, here we go. So I can take the week and put it on columns right here. It starts off as just the year, okay? I'm going to switch over here to the week number. There we go. Okay. And then I can take the rank. I can just take rank right here and put it up on rows for Ready Player One. There we go. We can see when. And I would say to you, hey, when was it ranked the highest? And you'd make the wrong answer, and you'd say right here in March. And that's because what's going on here? Well, high rankings are low numbers, so I need to reverse that, don't I? It was number 1 on April Fool's Day this year. There we go, April 1st, 2018. It was ranked number 1, and that's at the bottom, but I don't want that. I want that high up. So it's easy. I just edit this axis, okay, and I'm going to reverse it. There we go. Just like we did with the colors. That's okay. I can reverse it. That's a little better. Now I can see that its highest ranking is right here, which I think was the week that the movie was released. People ran out and bought the book. We see that happening a lot. But again, this is a great case for a step line because it didn't actually ramp from 3 to 2 to 1, right? That's not what happened in real life. It actually was 3 one week, and then it was 1 the next. So how do I do this? It's so easy, which I think is really kind of neat. I just click on path right here. You see that? And I change from an angled to, I can change to a step line. That's it. Super easy. Or a jump line where there's no 90-degree line connecting them. It's just, I can have them as discrete horizontal bars. One slight detail about this to watch out for, though, and again, this is kind of getting into the weeds, but there's actually a problem with this data set, which maybe you noticed, maybe you didn't. And that is that it was not ranked one week. It wasn't ranked this week right here. See how there's a dot there and there and there, but not there? So we got to be careful about that. I'm going to switch this to a discrete week number. And see how it goes week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up 7. There's no ranking for week 6. It wasn't ranked in the top 12. So I want to be able to show missing values. That's important. So now I can kind of show it like this in a way that shows that gap in ranking where it was not ranked in the top 12. So one thing to watch out for there. That was a little detail that I noticed as I was going through this demo. Cool. I only got a few more minutes, so I want to show you data-driven alerts. Super easy. So we're going to go to Tableau Online. Here we go. I've got a stock chart here, and this is showing stock price line for stock price timeline, for Amazon, Apple, and Tesla, right? Pretty neat. So if I'm logged in here, if you have an access to server or online, you can just click on the axis and click on alert. See that right there? There it is, up in the top, alert. I think Francois mentioned it in the previous session. And then when you pop that open, it's going to say, okay, notice I had to click on the axis first, though, by the way. And then when I open it up, I can say, I want to be notified if any of these stock prices go up above $850. And then I want this to say, high stock price alert. Or maybe whatever you want it to say. Okay? And maybe I want this to go to me and a couple my other colleagues. I can put their name in there if I wanted to. I'll just leave it for me right now. And I can say, I want this to happen every day. No, you know what? Weekly at most. If it crosses over that threshold, notify me, but then don't notify me again until a week passes. Or maybe, I want to know every single time you get a reading above that value. So you can dial it in, whatever you want there. I'll leave it at that for now. Okay, and I'm going to create that alert. There we go. And so now this will actually go ahead and email me anytime it sees a value above 850. So that alert got successfully created. If I want to see where that is, I can sign in to see my login here in my content. And I can see in the alerts section right here in the center. There we go. There's the one I made, high stock price alert. If I wanted, I can delete it or edit it or whatever I want to do there. So that's alerts. Now, I'm going to do the fun thing of actually open up my email in a live presentation, which is always a good idea. And hey, there you go, high stock price alert. There we go. So this is what it looks like when you get your email. Oh, cool, thanks Tableau. I don't have to proactively go and do it. It just kind of shows right there where it is. Oh, cool, it was Amazon. But what if I wanted to, what if I only cared about Tesla? What if I was like, I don't really care about these other two. I only care about Tesla. How do I set up my alarm so that it only alerts me if one of the companies goes above 850, not any one of them, which is kind of where it is right now, right? Well, so what's interesting is, I can divide these up, even if I divide them up, right? So I've got Amazon on top, then Apple, then Tesla right here. And you might say, oh, cool, I'll just make my alert right here. No, it's actually going to still make the alert for all three of them because it's the same measure that I'm mapping here. So you might say, well, okay, in that case, I'd like to be able to, just keep Tesla in the view. Awesome, there we go. And I want to be able to set the alert just on that. But it won't really work like that. So if I click on alert, Tableau will tell me, you customize the view, meaning if you want to create an alert on it, it's got to be a saved view, right? So then first thing you got to do is go click view and save the version. Okay, no problem. So I'll go to the view. I'm going to save this one. I'm going to call this Tesla stock. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to go ahead and save that. Now when I do that, I can make an alert that maybe just applies to that one particular dimension of my data. So the idea there, right, is you want to create views. I can call this maybe my Tesla alert. You guys get it, right? So I want to be able to create views for my users that are accessing this data that give them, think about it like they want to be able to get an access on the thing that they want the alert to be triggered from. So that's an important thing. Last thing I'll talk about here then, I know we're a little over time here, a couple minutes over time, but one other thing that's kind of cool is that I can when I download, right, let's say I'm using Tableau Server here at my company, but my division or my team hasn't updated desktop yet. We're on an older version. Anybody have that situation right now where there's people in their company that are using a different version? Yeah, it happens, right? We know. So we said, hey, you can go ahead, say you want to get this workbook and work with it and do something with it, right? If you go to Tableau Workbook, you can say, I'm still on 10.2. I can just go ahead and save the version in 10.2 or 3 or whatever. Might lose some functionality if they happen to use the new features, and that's something you have to take a look at. The reverse is true as well, right? From desktop, you can save to server, but if your desktop is ahead, a more advanced version than the server you're saving to, you can downgrade as you save to the server so that that can still get out there. Okay, that's version compatibility. And with that, I'd like to just switch back to the slides right now, and we can wrap it up. I'll be around. I'm sticking around here for any questions that you all might have afterward. And again, we're going to be doing this session again in a little while. But hopefully that was beneficial to you all. The goal here really was to kind of orient you on some of the new cool features. One of the ones I find that were most helpful. And then Tableau 2018.2, this is coming just around the corner. And Francois mentioned some of the cool things happening there. Dashboard extensions where you can drop boxes right into your dashboard that access other applications. This whole services manager in the web. And the ability, the question came up earlier about spatial joins where I can bring data sets together based on common geography. So those are just some of the things coming in 2018.2. And again, look for new releases every quarter from Tableau. We're excited about just continuing this journey we're on and continuing to make more and more features available to you all that are helping you do your job, right? So that's a little more complete list of what you'll find in 2018.2. The beta is already out there. You can go ahead and just go to our website, and there's links there to get through to the beta. You can even just download it right now and play with it if you want, but should be coming out here pretty soon. All right. Again, just want to point you to our training videos. Want to make sure you know of the other resources to you. If you're kind of newer at Tableau, you want to know how do I get started. That's how I watch. I just put my headphones in when I lived in LA before I moved up here. I just put my headphones in, watch all the on-demand videos. They're free. They're super helpful. I would just try to apply it right away to my own data, whatever it was. Then I kind of felt like it solidified the learning. We also have a whole new e-learning platform, more step-by-step, kind of like, educational experience than just listening to a video. So that's out there too. That's pretty new. So that's another way you can get some more. And then make use of the demo station, make use of that Tableau prep training, and we actually offer classroom training if you want to have someone come on site to train your, and then lots of learning opportunities at our conference coming up here in New Orleans here in a few months in October 22 to 25. So if you haven't jumped on that bandwagon, do that. It's a fun event. You know, you get to learn a lot and meet a lot of cool people. Great networking opportunity. So that's it. That's all I got for you today. I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for your attention. There's the rest of your agenda. Again, if you have any questions, I'll be right up here. Thanks, everyone.